Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the show, everyone. This is Locked On Coyotes. I'm Robyn, Leaño, Pavlock right beside me. As we get this Thursday, as we get ready for the Arizona Coyotes versus Tampa Bay Lightning on the road in Tampa. Before we get started, though, I do want to address one thing. I know a lot of you guys probably watched the TSN interview regarding the Chicago Blackhawks, and it was probably tough for a lot of you guys to watch it. It was tough I know it was tough for me. I took some time to rest after that. What I want to let you guys know, though, if you guys want to learn anything more about that, I want to go ahead and direct you guys over to our friends at Locked On NHL. They did actually a great episode yesterday after the report was released, as well as check out Locked On Blackhawks. Our good friend Jack Bushman at Locked On Blackhawks will have all the stuff for you regarding the interview and regarding the report coming out for the Chicago Blackhawks. But that said, let's get things going on today's episode, though. To get ready to talk about, again, Arizona Coyotes versus Tampa Bay Lightning. Carl, not going to be an easy game, right?
Nope. I don't think anyone expects any game on this road trip to be really easy. This one's going to be a tough one. The Lightning have, I'm not going to say struggled out the gate, but they have looked fallible in a way that they hadn't in previous seasons. So this may be the best time to catch the Lightning, but they're still a very tough team. It's going to be very difficult for the Coyotes to pull one out. And they desperately need a win. They have not gotten one yet.
I mean, look at based off the teams that they're playing, they've been playing, and their performance against these certain teams. The Lightning are 5 in our most up-to-date power rankings. I don't have the graphic with me. I didn't get a chance to download it and put it into our stream here for those who are watching on YouTube. But the Lightning are 5, and they dropped a couple, but still. Like, they were still a top 5 team in the NHL, and the Coyotes are 31. Yeah. They actually went up one, with Chicago dumping down to the bottom.
Yeah, the Lightning have dropped games against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Florida Panthers, Colorado Avalanche, and Buffalo Sabres. 2 of those teams have had very hot starts this year. The Florida Panthers, undefeated, as the Coyotes know, and the Buffalo Sabres, no longer undefeated, but still really good. Like the Lightning ran into a hot Buffalo Sabres team. Who'd have thought that would happen? Other 2, Pittsburgh Penguins and Colorado Avalanche, there are other teams that aren't necessarily having the best start to the season, but still like really good, like stacked teams. So it kind of makes sense that they're kind of struggling against each other. But yeah, it's not like they're dropping games against the Ducks or the Blackhawks or the Coyotes yet.
Yeah, if you want to know, based off all the teams the Coyotes have been playing, the lowest ranked team that they lost to was the Columbus Blue Jackets that opening night, and they're 22.
Oh, wow. 22 for the Blue Jackets. I'm trying to think where I expected them to finish. And yeah, the Coyotes have not had easy competition. The Lightning haven't exactly either. But they still have a lot of offensive weapons. They traded a lot of people to get back under the cap after some, let's say, shenanigans last season, depending on how you feel about what the Lightning did. I'm personally okay with it. I do not care that the Lightning found loopholes, but it has resulted in some pretty significant changes to that lineup, and it'll be interesting to see what the Coyotes can do, and maybe they can catch them by surprise.
Yeah, maybe they can. I mean, trying to look at their cap-friendly table, seeing who's out there, and for some reason it's telling me there we go. For some reason, my connection's in the red. I'm like, that's not right, because
Yeah.
I mean, we know Nikita Kucherov's out. Trying
Yeah.
to see who else is looking at their roster. I mean, they still got. A stacked roster regardless. But
They still got Stamkos. They still got um,
Point and Hedman,
Hedman,
Vasilevsky,
Mikhail Severett. I've never had to
Sergachev.
Sergachev. Never had to pronounce his name out loud. I've only had to write it. This is the joys of going to podcasts. I now have to say names that I only had to write before.
Hey, it gets easier.
Yeah. But those are all like dangerous players. Like I would not want the Coyotes to have to go up against Stamkos 8 times a year. Like I'm glad that they're in a different conference and we always see them twice.
Yeah, and this
Uh,
is our first shot at it. So
yeah. And let's say this: the most important player that they still have in goal, Vasilevsky.
yeah, I did mention Vasilevsky's name, but like, yeah, he's definitely one of the top 3 goalies in the league, and
Yeah.
it's scary good.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I mean, I think we all kind of expect this to happen too. Like it's the Stanley Cup hangover. We see it almost every year. Like, maybe the Lightning spent a little bit too much time celebrating, not enough time in the gym. And by that, I mean they are professional athletes who went to the gym more than normal people did. But, the other teams that didn't have the success, they go a little bit harder. Um, and I'm sure the Lightning will come back in and just kind of be a dominant team. This doesn't seem like a team whose cup window is ended. Like it seems like they're only beginning. Like they're still really young.
Yeah, the trying to look at it, that's the what do you call it? That's the Stanley Cup hangover. That's what you were saying. It seems to get the worst when you're a team that finished a back to back. I'm gonna go ahead and point over to Pittsburgh when they won their back to back.
Oh yeah.
It was not.
Although, like, I'm trying to remember how the Capitals did, just because I remember like Ovechkin that entire summer, like constantly like looked like he was buzzed and just loving that day with the cup, just walking around in total bliss and happiness. I imagine that led to a bad real hangover as well as a Stanley Cup hangover. uh,
He's Russian. He didn't have to worry about it.
yeah, like, and I mean, back-to-back cups. It's a thing, and the Lightning won theirs in 2 really unusual circumstances, but it didn't make it any easier for them to win the Stanley Cup.
Exactly, because that just meant other teams were also better conditioned too.
Yeah,
Because again, we're now seeing teams that are becoming closer to super teams here in the National Hockey League, and that's kind of scary to see how, especially when we're talking about the Arizona Coyotes, a team that's rebuilding, is they're just going to get thrown back down to the wolves every single time.
yep, yep. It's gonna be brutal in the long term, but hockey's one of those games where, hey, maybe we can get some surprises.
I mean, let's take a look at it this way. I mean, a lot of teams like to build, like to build up, and they end up becoming like creating solid dynasties out of it. So
Yeah,
I'm not saying the Coyotes, 6-7 years from now are going to be a Stanley Cup contending team. I cannot predict what's going to happen that far in advance.
yeah.
Obviously, because we had to see a well executed rebuild in these first 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I think the Lightning in general are the team that every hockey club should be looking to be. They did things right, but they also acquired some solid pieces. They drafted really well. Not too many misses there. They are at this point an ideal NHL franchise, and it's great to see a Sunbelt team doing that. Like if I think the bigger dynasties we tend to see are Canadian teams like the Oilers in the 80s, or the Detroit Red Wings. But like having a non-traditional hockey market be successful, that's really cool to help grow the sport. Like people now look at the Tampa Bay Lightning as, you know, the pinnacle of what you can be in the NHL because they have had so much success, and that's awesome.
Isn't it funny how all it takes is a successful team for people to see hockey in the Sun Belt to actually kind of work, because they look at the Arizona Coyotes and Canadian media will jump at any opportunity to get us to relocate or sell the team or do X, Y, and Z, and just say, "See, it doesn't work in there. It doesn't work there. It doesn't work there." But then they look over the Tampa like, "Oh,
Yeah. And it's like I think Arizona especially, like they need to win to be successful. That's just the nature of sports in the Valley. But yeah, winning really changes things. We saw it with the Nashville Predators. We saw it with the Carolina Hurricanes. Like once you get winning in there and combine that with a unique culture, that's the recipe for success. And it is something that I do think gets underplayed by the more traditional hockey markets.
exactly, exactly." But we still got more to get to on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We'll continue our preview of the Arizona Coyotes versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. All that coming up. Plus, we'll also talk about a little more player injury news. Just a couple of extra things a couple housekeeping items we get to talk to you. All that coming up in just a sec. But first, let's take a word from our sponsors.
We're back and better than ever. A new web interface for the start of the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
All right, so back here on Locked On Coyotes, once again, Robyn, Leaño, and Kyle Pavlock, as we get ready to count down to Arizona Coyotes versus Tampa Bay Lightning. Before we get any more into the game, however, we do have another injury to report. Luckily, this is not a longer-term injury. We have Nick Schmaltz out day-to-day. The other three players we mentioned on the previous episode are actually officially placed on injured reserve as of yesterday, but Schmaltz is now listed as day-to-day. So at least 4 players out for the Arizona Coyotes. In this, Carl, it makes a lot more sense as to why Barrett Hayton was called up.
Absolutely. I think earlier this week we were talking about it. Like, there's maybe other players that could have gotten the call up before, especially if he's looking to replace Dzingel, which is what we thought at the time. As soon as I saw that Schmaltz was day to day, you're like, oh, that makes sense that they brought up Hayton, that they need like a center. And especially with this being like a short term thing, it'll be interesting to see. Um, I believe Bear has pretty much communicated he's going to play. So I expect to see him draw in against the Lightning today.
Yeah, Bear and Armstrong were pretty much saying like, yeah, no, he is like, yeah, he said that. He said that he is here to play. Based off the context of it, the wording of it looks like it's like, no, we're not just here to maybe slot him in. He's here to play.
Yeah. And I think on one of the rushes I saw with is him and Keller and Kraus. So top line duty for Barrett Hayton. Excellent opportunity for him. Possibly get him like some sheltered minutes against if the coach can swing some like good line matches, that would be great to see. The top line of the Coyotes against the bottom line of the Lightning. Um, it'll be interesting to see what Hayton can do with his with his time. I he doesn't. It doesn't sound like he has like a long time to impress with Schmaltz being just day to day. But if he could, impress, then let's see where he is on the team.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it was someone who commented after I talked about the players on injury reserve. Someone responded that injury harbors opportunity, and I think this is mainly like, yeah, you could make the argument for Prosvetov getting an opportunity, but this is mainly Hayton's opportunity. We've been talking about how he played last year. He didn't have a good start to the Arizona Coyotes season last year, and immediately got sent down. And the Roadrunners weren't playing well either, so obviously he wasn't playing well.
Yeah.
This is his opportunity.
Yeah. More so than anyone except Kyle Capobianco, just because Timmins being out long term is good for him. But this is a good opportunity for Hayton, because there are like moves that the Coyotes could make. As we mentioned a couple times this week, Christian Fischer is playing center, so if Hayton's able to like slot in center full time, like there's a spot for him there. If the team wants him to like maybe spend some time at wing, you know, it's not a offensively deep team, so the Coyotes can make some adjustments and fit him in there. Prosvetov is a player where I think everyone wants him to spend a majority of the season being the starter in the Roadrunners. So, like, this is more of a cup of coffee, see where you're at, get you a little bit of a raise, get you some NHL experience. But at the end of the day, we expect him to go down. Hayton, I don't think has that same expectation. He may go down, he may stay up. We don't know.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me when you mentioning Prosvetov. I think, as we mentioned on earlier this week, that um, it'd be pretty likely that if Hutton ends up being out on the latter side of that 2 to 4 weeks, then about somewhere down the line, Prosvetov gets sent back down. Kozhinovs gets called up.
Yeah, Kozhinovs gets called up, or the team, maybe starts looking for a trade to acquire someone new, um, because I do not think that they want Prosvetov to be just riding pine for the entire season. Like, there's a reason Armstrong and Bear are just like, yeah, Hayton's going to play because like these younger players, they need to play. They need that experience, and coaches know it. Front office knows it. We know it, and Hayton knows it as well.
Exactly. And that's I mean, I'm excited to see Hayton. It is it unfortunate he has to play the Tampa Bay Lightning,
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's a trial by fire, definitely.
yeah, I mean, again, maybe that's like something that just ends up becoming a surprise. And he plays well, the Coyotes play well, and they make it an interesting game.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing the Coyotes need right now is confidence, and like an upset win over the defending Stanley Cup champs. That's a confidence builder. So that'd be great to see. I don't know how likely it is, but we've seen stranger things in hockey, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Coyotes managed an upset today. Wouldn't surprise me if Hayton was a big part of it. We saw Dyson Mayo score his first goal in his first game. Why can't Hayton have a move like that? Maybe the Lightning are underestimating him a little bit because he spent some time in the AHL.
Absolutely. We will see indeed. Hey, we still got more to get to on this episode. We're going to go ahead and preview and predict the Coyotes versus Tampa Bay Lightning. How do we think this game is going to go? All that coming up in just a sec. But first, I want to tell you guys about Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. So why endure offer pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning? Is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? While wait for the person behind the counter ordering the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership when you can go to Rock Auto, a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you can need from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution for your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. And while you're there, write Locked On in there. How did you hear about this box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices. It's all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Okay, it's prediction time, Carl, obviously. Here's the way to get things started. I always like to start by bringing out our lines, courtesy of betonline.ag. The
Okay.
puck line, Arizona Coyotes are 1.5 underdogs at plus 103. Money line, underdogs plus 270, so minus 307 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Total points set at 5.5 points.
Well, right away, what stands out is that 5.5 points seems low.
It does seem low.
Like, I would probably bet the over on that one, just because we've seen the Coyotes can have some offensive bursts, and we know the Tampa Bay Lightning can score. Coyotes goaltending is a whole big question mark right now, so I expect we're going to get more than 5.5 goals this game.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Based on looking at this line, the over is actually the favorite of either one, minus 117 for the over, plus 106 for the under.
Yeah.
And again, because let's be real, there's a pretty high chance that this thing goes over,
Yeah.
especially if just the way the Tampa Bay Lightning are as a team, and we don't know the kind of team that we're going to see from the Coyotes yet, but
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think the Coyotes can pull one out, or are you going with the favorites on this?
I'm trying to figure that one out because based off how the Coyotes, if we see the first 40 minutes Coyotes against the Florida Panthers, then no, absolutely no chance. This game is
Yeah.
going to get blown out of the water. If we see the last 10 minutes Coyotes against the Panthers, then we're going to be in for some fun.
Yeah. It's all like, I think a big issue that I really identified against the Panthers, and it's been a problem, but it was just very apparent in the first two periods. The Coyotes have a lot of problems going through the neutral zone. They were getting shut down there pretty quickly. It's how you saw such a lopsided shots on goal count, because if you're not getting into the offensive zone, you're not able to get a shot off. Um, I don't know if the Lightning are necessarily going to have that same shutdown as the Panthers did, which could potentially open things up for the Coyotes. And if they can get set up, if they can actually deploy Bears system, I think they do have a pretty decent shot. And they got to win the game eventually. They're not going to go 81-1 this season. I think that's pretty apparent. And hockey is kind of a game that's surprise. And I feel like this could be maybe one of the surprises we get.
It could be, and I think it's definitely possible. Obviously the trend is not in favor of them based off just how the teams are.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I can bring up some of the stats on here, because I always like going through those chart websites, see where they look, see where some teams are. I can't find the Tampa Bay Lightning on one chart. It's because I'm looking at the expected goals for and against, and Tampa Bay Lightning are, I think, hidden behind somewhere because they're probably there's clusters out here. But
yeah, that is the thing about those graphs where you're just like, everything's a little bit too tight together. I can't see where they are.
There they are. They are at a averaging 2.3 goals for, and about 2.3 averages goals against. So they're pretty even. Meanwhile, the Coyotes are 1.98 goals against and 1.96 goals for.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Um, yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting situation. Personally, this is not a game that I would bet on, except for that favorited more than 5.5 goals being scored, just because that seems just ridiculously low. But I think there is something to a team like the Coyotes, who are hungry. And let's say this: the Tampa Bay Lightning don't have any former Coyotes. They seem to be giving the team a lot of trouble this year. So maybe that's a good thing. There's not going to be someone on the opposition who's like, I'm going to just take it to the Coyotes this year.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there are no former Coyotes out there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we might need to know. Um, oh, by the way, I'm just looking through the tweet because remember we said that really quick we said that the Zingle was unknown. He's week to week,
Mm. Week to week.
but
That's always, yeah. I wouldn't. I'm kind of curious if. No, I guess they don't need to do another the call up for that because Yoshkin was kind of like in and out of the lineup. Um, Dzingel, I thought, had kind of established a role with the team, and I'm wondering if they're going to maybe look to bring up someone who can make sure to drop the gloves if things get physical, which is definitely something that I don't know. That could potentially have an impact on the team if they know that they're going to have guys who are willing to stand up for them if the other team takes advantages. I haven't seen like a significant decrease in that sort of thing compared to last season, which everyone was always complaining about. But still really early, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
all right. So here's how I will bet. How I say the bet the over, and I'm not going to bet the puck line on this one because that could be dicey based off how the last game went.
Yeah,
So bet the money line. Tampa wins.
Tampa wins. I predicted on another podcast that I guested on that the Coyotes win this game, and I feel like I need to be logically consistent.
No, that's kind
So
of important.
yeah, but I would not encourage you to bet that prediction
If you're
because
betting, no, yeah. See, but that's the thing too. Is like, do I feel like the Coyotes could win this game? Oh, absolutely. It's because of all the factors we were just talking about. But betting trends, yeah, this is how I had like I this is how I think it probably will end up.
yeah. Like there's the smart bets, and then there's like the dumb bet that maybe pulls off. And the betting on the Coyotes for this one is definitely a dumb bet. Do not do it unless you have money
Well,
to spare.
I wouldn't say dumb bet. It's bold.
Bold. uh, sure. Back-to-back Stanley Cup winner, one of the worst teams in the NHL this year. Bold is a very polite way to say that. Uh, I like that. Bold. It's
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, right?
yeah.
Let me see if I can bring up the. Here we go. I'm looking at what some, but yeah, it's not going to look good. I'm just looking at other stats pages, and this is just completely lopsided.
There's nothing about like these two teams matching up that should give any kind of edge to the Coyotes. But the reason we watch sports, the reasons we like it so much is because of underdog stories. And sometimes the team that shouldn't win finds a way because they just want it more.
I remember
Um,
that. Do you remember when the NHL used to be on Versus, and there was that commercial, the underdog commercial.
I vaguely remember that. I remember the NHL on Versus.
The
There's been
the uh,
so many commercials. So
the ending words. We got ourselves a game.
yeah, I mean, Yeah, it makes sense. It's the thing that gets marketed. And yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons I enjoy watching hockey.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that why the Stanley Cup is one of the most exciting things ever?
Yes, that and like finding out all of the injuries that players sustained immediately afterwards when teams are just like, oh yeah, this and this was wrong with the team. They're like, how did they still play?
That's also a sad story too, because
Yeah,
there's a massive opioid problem in the NHL, and we know it.
that is true. And there are definitely situations where don't play with a hole in your lung. Um, that's a bad. But I do think like persevering over a broken foot is maybe a little bit more of a you know a feel good story for now at least. Now that we're understanding the implications of players playing injured, I think that's gonna perceptions been changing and it's probably gonna continue to change. But for now, there is some kind of noble toughness to it.
All right, final score. What do you think?
Final score, 4-2 Coyotes.
4-2 Coyotes.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna go. Let's see. Ooh. 4-3 Tampa Bay.
4-3 Tampa Bay.
Um,
Coyotes getting 3. That's still very impressive.
yeah, I mean, I'll give it to them. I mean, they'll be hungry. They'll be again. I'll see. I mean, I'm saying this is going to be a competitive game because again, the Coyotes want it.
Yeah,
Um, Especially because this is the first of a back-to-back. They got the Washington Capitals tomorrow,
that's gonna be fun.
which is also that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode, or technically tonight because we'll do post-game show stuff.
Yeah. So we won't have too much time to dwell on this either way. It'll either be something the Coyotes can forget when they play the Capitals tomorrow, or it'll be something where the Coyotes can use that to build up motivation.
We will see indeed. So that's gonna be it. We're running out of time, so we're gonna just kind of end this episode. Once again, the Arizona Coyotes and Tampa Bay Lightning, the 0-5-1 Coyotes up against the defending Stanley Cup champs, back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. That game is today at 4 p.m. Arizona time, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So be sure to watch it if most of the time, a lot of you guys are probably commuting from home. You can go ahead and listen to it on the radio as well. But it is going to do it for today's episode. Hope you guys like what you heard. If you did, don't forget to leave a review, a like, a comment. Subscribe if you get to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast, now including on YouTube. We really appreciate all your support so far of our YouTube channel and just of our podcast. It's because of you guys that we are one of the best Coyotes podcasts out there in the state of Arizona. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leaño. That is ROBYN_LEANO. Carl Pavlock is at Carl Pavlock FFH. Interact with us, ask us any questions, and we'll interact with you back maybe and answer any questions you might have on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Anyways, thanks everyone once again. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy, and don't forget to howl on.